Sanji versus Zoro. Zoro versus Sanji, Sanji versus Zoro, Vinsmoke versus Roronoa. I don't care what you call it, but this is arguably the biggest rivalry in the One Piece story. I go on so many different forums, different YouTube comment sections, and you just see these fans going at it, Sanji versus Zoro fans. Now, the Zoro fans definitely outnumber the Sanji fans, but you still see them going at it. I gotta give some respect to Sanji fans. Even though they get outnumbered, they still are fighting for their boy Vinsmoke, Sanji. So I definitely think that I gotta give them respect. And recently, post time skip, Sanji has been, like, a lot of people have been on the Zoro side now, and nobody's given that respect to Sanji. The year Sanji is this year, but I feel like, yeah, I still see this as one of the biggest rivalries, and I'm gonna tell you who I think is stronger and what I see for both these characters in the future when it comes to interacting with each other. Now, one of the earlier arcs in the One Piece story, the Davy back fight, was a very great arc in my personal opinion. I feel like it was lighthearted, and you see that Oda, yes, Ichiro Oda tried to showcase them as kind of like equals, kind of like rivals. It was funny, but you seen that Zoro and Sanji, they were kind of seen as the rivals. Now, you know what's crazy about this is because early on we showcased that Luffy and Zoro at Whiskey Peak, they had a battle, and it was pretty much equal. It was pretty much a draw, and that's where a lot of people think that Zoro was equal to Luffy. But I feel like the reason why Oda made Sanji and Zoro have to work together in the Davy back situation and those funny fights there is because in the next saga, we see that Luffy has a considerable gap between Sanji and Zoro. If you guys did not know, people still argue this. Annie's Lobby, it kind of showcased that Luffy, there was a gap between Luffy and Zoro and Sanji. Now, they're all crazy strong, but pre-time skip, it showed the gap there. You've seen Luffy against Lucci, man. Lucci was double the strength of Kaku and Jabra when it comes to their power level. So, like, it was crazy. It was crazy. Now, when the pre-time skip is, you guys are probably thinking, why am I talking about pre-time skip? Just skip the post-time skip. I like to slowly get into it. So I gotta talk about pre-time skip first. And I like how Oda really did this so smart. The way he did the fight style pre-time skip. If you guys did not know, Oda had some sort of pattern for the fight style for the characters on the Straw Hat Pirates when fighting the opposition, and I'm going to talk about it. So you would have Sanji fight the third strongest of the antagonist, and that was pretty much people saying, okay, Sanji's fighting the third strongest, Sanji's definitely the third strongest when it comes to the Straw Hat Pirates. But I feel like Oda was not trying to do it for a reason. He played really smart. He made Sanji fight the third strongest, but he made Sanji defeat his opponent the fastest out of the big three, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. Sanji always defeated his opponent the fastest. There might have been some cases where it was an exception, but most times Sanji defeated his opponent the fastest when it comes to the main fights in the story arcs. Now, with Zoro, he would always fight the second strongest character when it comes to the antagonist, and this is where a lot of people said that Zoro is the second strongest Straw Hat Pirates. But what Oda did here is Zoro's fights were a little bit more difficult. You see with Das Bones how much Zoro had to go to defeat Das Bones. You see with characters like Kaku, Zoro's fight was a little bit longer and it was a little more difficult for Zoro. But the reason why I think this is because if Oda made them defeat their opponents equally at the same time, then we can all assume that Zoro would be stronger than Sanji. But the fact that Sanji defeated his opponent a little bit quicker, it kind of means like, okay, is the reason why Sanji's defeating his opponent quicker is because Sanji's on the same level as Zoro, and that's why pre-time skip, a lot of people, even though they argued, a lot of people kind of came to the agreement that Zoro and Sanji were pretty much neck and neck. Now, the second last thing I want to talk about when it comes to pre-time skip is Annie's Lobby. Yes, this is one of the biggest arcs in the One Piece story, a lot of people's favorite arc. It is my second favorite arc in the One Piece story. It is so well written, and we see that there's two characters in which a huge debate when it comes to the One Piece fan base, Kaku and Jabra. And if you guys want to know how I personally feel about these characters and their power levels, this is how I see it. Kaku and Jabra, when it comes to their body, who was stronger with their body and power levels with their body, Kaku was definitely a little bit stronger than Jabra. It was already showcased by this and Jabra was shocked because earlier on it was Lucci, Jabra, Kaku when it came to their body, but Kaku became stronger during the Water 7 time when he was chilling with Lucci, and that's why it's Lucci, Kaku, and Jabra. And Lucci is a big gap, but Kaku and Jabra is really close, but Kaku is just a little bit above him when it comes to his power level. And then when it comes to Jabra's like, I have a Dull Fruit, so that's going to give me an advantage. Later on, we see that Kaku gets a Dull Fruit. Now, whose Dull Fruit is better? We're not too sure. Jabra had his Dull Fruit way longer, so I would think that he's a little bit better with his Dull Fruit. But still, Kaku, when it comes to his body, was stronger than Jabra. I still think they're neck and neck really close, but it kind of showcases that Kaku a little bit of the edge, and he's the second strongest, and that's why I believe when it comes to their power levels. Thriller Bark, what can I say? Personally, it's my second favorite moment. Zoro taking on the pain of Luffy. I loved it, seeing him taking on for Luffy. Luffy's the man to become Pirate King, and this epic moment there with Sanji and Zoro. It's a very iconic moment. But Zoro and Sanji both showed heroic efforts. Now, a lot of people say that Sanji did not show heroic efforts. Sanji was willing to put his life on the line just for Luffy, just like Zoro was, and I gotta give that respect to Sanji. Even Zoro had to knock out Sanji to actually go on with the process of taking Luffy's pain. Now, would Sanji survive the whole Kuma body pain thing? I'm not too sure. I think a lot of people have known this, that Zoro is known for his endurance. He gets a lot of damage in fights, and he's able to still fight, so that's kind of one of his attributes. So Zoro is like one known for that in the Straw Hat Pirates. And Sanji, I'm not too sure if he would be able to survive that. If he is, I wouldn't mind if he survived it. You know, he probably, I'm guessing he would be able to survive it. But yeah, Zoro, the fact that I think it's Zoro, this is like a special characteristic. So Zoro, 100%, he would survive this, as we've seen in the Thriller Bark moment. And I gotta say, it's my favorite Zoro moment. Now, a huge argument. Now we're done. I'm telling you guys right now, we're done talking about pre-time skip. Yes, you guys can finally say thank you. Stop talking about pre-time skip. Yes, we are officially done talking about pre-time skip. But I want to talk about the actual time skip trainers. And a lot of people say that Zoro got to be trained by the world's strongest swordsman, Dracula Mihawk, and Sanji got to be trained by Ivankov. And a lot of people say that this is a huge difference. Mihawk is way stronger than Ivankov. Mihawk actually specializes in what Zoro specializes in the combat ability, while Ivankov doesn't specialize in kicking ability. And then we have a bit, yeah, it's crazy, the big difference in power level. And people say that Zoro trained harder because he had a better trainer. Now, I definitely think that Zoro would have the edge when it comes to tips when training, but we're not too sure the training regimen and how hard it was on both of them. We know Sanji, he was able to learn the ability to fly just by running away from those drag queens, and that was torture, yo. He calls it hell's memories, yo. So I definitely feel like the training thing, a lot of people will put that they over exaggerated. Now, I do think Zoro did have definitely the advantage. This is the world's greatest swordsman in his combat ability, one of the best, so it's definitely Zoro had the advantage in training. But I definitely think that Sanji did get a great training too, and I feel like it's with both these characters how hard themselves wanted to push it. The trainers are very important, but 2 years with a trainer, yeah, you definitely, the person who's getting trained has to push it. I feel like Sanji did that, and I don't think it's, if there is a difference in training, I don't think it's a huge difference. Now we officially, yes, I talked about the time skip, now we officially go post time skip. And let's be honest here, post time skip, we have a thing where Sanji's been taking a lot of L's and Zoro's been taking a lot of W's, and it's a trend. I've seen this many times, and it's kind of tough to justify, like try to defend Sanji, but I've done it because I'll tell you guys right now, Zoro is my 6th favorite One Piece character. I actually like Zoro more than Sanji. Like, I don't even have Sanji up that high. He's not even my top 10 favorite One Piece characters. But whenever I see Sanji get disrespected, I love the One Piece series, and I try to look at power levels unbiasedly, and I see he gets disrespected a lot of times by the Zoro fans. Like, we already, like, come on, man, like, a lot of people love Zoro more. Like, I don't feel like we need to disrespect Sanji. He's a great character, and that's why I defend him in power level discussions. Even though people are like, yo, you're a Sanji fanboy, you hate Zoro. I like Zoro more than Sanji. I'll tell you guys right now. I'm just looking at it to defend Sanji because he's been getting disrespected. So here I go in defending Sanji. The first thing I want to talk about is the Virgo situation, and a lot of people don't understand this, but in the Virgo situation, there's a moment where Nami's in Sanji's body and it gets damaged. Sanji goes back into his body and he feels the damage and he's on the ground like, what the hell happened? Then Sanji goes to fight Virgo. Sanji's whooping Virgo's ass, but when he does when he goes to clash with Virgo, Virgo's armed in haki, Sanji's shin cracks. People think that, oh my gosh, Sanji, you use your legs all the time and your shins crack. That's like Zoro's sword cracking, and people said that Sanji was weak after that whole Virgo situation. I personally feel like Sanji wasn't 100% and Oda made that sure for us, and if you ignore that whole situation of his body being damaged, then I feel like you guys are being ignorant to the situation. So I definitely feel like the Virgo situation is definitely blown way over. And I also want to bring up the Doflamingo, Doflamingo. The funny thing about Doflamingo is I feel like Doflamingo, even if Sanji was 100%, Doflamingo would destroy him just like he did against him and during Dressrosa. But I will come to the defense of him a little bit. We've seen that Viola did kick his ass while he was tied up. Sanji does not hit woman, so he wasn't like, he's probably like 95%, so it didn't really matter about that. Doflamingo did that to a lot of characters. He did it to Jozu, and Jozu's a top tier Yonko commander, and we see Jozu fighting with animals. I don't think he's stronger than animals, but he was able to fight with animals, and that's very respectful respectable. So I definitely gotta give respect to Flamingo, and he's able to do a lot of crazy stuff with his Bell Fruit ability. And with Zoro, it's a much different story. You see, he destroys the octopus on Fishman Island. I'm not even gonna name his name. The drunk octopus, he wrecks him. Then we have Monet, just the fear, yo. He pretty much destroyed Monet with just that intimidation, the beast. You know, he showed her that haki that I'm able to cut you. I don't care if you're a female. And that in itself, when he cut her, she thought, okay, I'm done. Then we see in Dressrosa, Pika, Zoro showed that his haki was stronger than your full body armor haki, yo. You're nothing. And even though slicing up his rocks, so we've seen many devastating attacks. In the end, he did get some help from some of the people from the Coliseum and all that stuff. But let's be honest here, Zoro pretty much had an easy time with Pika. The only difficult time Zoro actually had, in my personal opinion, was the Fujitora moment, where he had a couple of clashes with Fujitora. But that's an admiral, yo. That's one of the strongest characters. You put the admirals at a top tier level, so you definitely gotta respect the admirals. Zoro, he's pretty much had a cakewalk. He hasn't really tried, and it's been a much different story with Sanji. So yeah, it's crazy. It's very crazy stuff. I can't wait to Wano, where you actually see full power Zoro. Now, Ichiro Oda, the man who actually made the story One Piece, there was an interview question. The person said, Zoro or Sanji in a fight, who would win, who would become victorious? He said that Zoro would be Mr. 1, so Zoro would be stronger, right, Oda? And Oda completely dodged the question, making jokes. He did not take the question serious. As a person who made the story, himself, he is not even taking this, like, he doesn't want to reveal who's stronger. And the fact that he doesn't want to reveal this, like, for Luffy, I think he would say it, but for Zoro and Sanji, he did not say it. It just shows that even Oda does not want to reveal who's stronger, because he still wants people, the fan base, to argue who's stronger, and he wants there to be a rivalry. And I personally feel like there is a rivalry, and there will always be a rivalry to the end of the story. Like, even in in the arc of Zoro makes a joke saying, Luffy's like, Sanji's worth 1,000 men, and then Zoro's like, I'm worth 2,000 men. You see the funny joke there? Like, you could see that Zoro still, like, and Zoro and Sanji always make fun of each other. They still see each other as like rivals who can one up each other. Even in Sabaody, Return to Sabaody, when they both wrecked the Pacifista, you saw that greatness over there. These guys are crazy. And let's be honest here, do I think they're gonna have a serious fight in the future of the One Piece story? I'm not too sure, because like, if they do have a serious fight, it will be epic, because there's gonna be crazy flashbacks to Davy back to their first fight when Nami and the whole Usopp situation, to their first meeting, to the Thriller Bark moment. There's gonna be multiple flashbacks. It'll be a very emotional and serious moment. These guys are like brothers. Even though they make fun of each other, they still really love each other as these Straw Hat Pirates are a family. So it would be epic if there's a serious fight. I would definitely be down to see that. But you're probably asking, Mac, yo, you've been talking about this for too long, yo. Who do you have as stronger? Personally, I'll tell you guys right now, I have Zoro as stronger than Sanji. I still think there's a rivalry, so I think they're close in strength, but I have Zoro stronger than Sanji. Who knows what's gonna happen? Oda is very he's unpredictable. But right now, I feel like Zoro, he's kind of the vice captain of the crew, and I have him as stronger than Sanji. Just the way that the story goes, I think that Zoro is stronger than Sanji. I had to say that a couple of times before someone says, yo, you're a Sanji fanboy, man. You're like, come on, man, stop saying this. Everybody knows Zoro would destroy him. Okay, I'm sorry for making fun of you guys. Any Zoro tards that are getting angry about that. Let's be honest here, yo. I'm telling you right now, yo. I respect the Zoro fan base, yo. These guys is ride or die for Zoro. You say one bad thing, they will shoot you up. But I want to say this. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Tell me what you think about this video. Like and share if you enjoy. Like and share only if you enjoy. Subscribe for more One Piece content. I'm the LegendMac. Who do you think is stronger? And I'm gone.